The Psychology of Learning: How We Learn and Remember. A production of Tuition Near Me. Today we are going to share about how people learn and retain their knowledge. This is going to be very important because it affects how tutors shape their classes. First, we are going to do some basic introduction. Then, we will move on to learning psychology of students. After that, we will touch on memory and influencing learning. Finally, we will end off with the conclusions, mainly about the key takeaways. Now, more about the significance of cognitive psychology in educational practices. Cognitive psychology is the study of mental processes such as memory, attention, and problem solving, and it has a profound impact on how we learn and retain information. By applying principles from cognitive psychology, educators like yourself can create more impactful learning experiences for your students. Let's start with memory. Understanding how memory works can help educators design teaching methods that enhance students' ability to retain information. For example, using techniques like spaced repetition and retrieval practice can help students better encode and retrieve information from their long-term memory. Next, attention plays a crucial role in learning. Educators can use strategies to capture and maintain students' attention, such as incorporating multimedia elements, varying teaching methods, and providing opportunities for active engagement. By understanding the limitations of attention, educators can design learning experiences that optimize students' focus and comprehension. Finally, problem solving is a key skill that students need to develop. Cognitive psychology provides insights into how people approach and solve problems, which can inform the design of educational activities that promote critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Learning is a fundamental aspect of human behavior and can be explained through different theories and concepts. First, let's start with classical conditioning, which was pioneered by Ivan Pavlov. Classical conditioning is a type of learning in which an organism learns to associate a neutral stimulus with a meaningful stimulus. For example, Pavlov's famous experiment with dogs demonstrated that they could be conditioned to salivate at the sound of a bell if the bell was repeatedly paired with the presentation of food. This process of associating a neutral stimulus with a meaningful one is what forms the basis of classical conditioning. Next, we have operant conditioning, which was developed by B.F. Skinner. Operant conditioning focuses on the consequences of behavior. It suggests that behaviors that are reinforced are more likely to be repeated, while behaviors that are punished are less likely to be repeated. For example, if a student is praised for studying hard and getting good grades, they are more likely to continue studying in the future. On the other hand, if a student is scolded for not completing their homework, they are less likely to repeat this behavior. Finally, we have observational learning, which was popularized by Albert Bandura. Observational learning occurs through watching others and imitating their behavior. For example, a child may observe their parent successfully assembling a piece of furniture and then attempt to do the same themselves. This type of learning is especially prevalent in social settings and is a key aspect of how we acquire new skills and knowledge. Let's move on to talk about the differences between learning and memorization. These two concepts are often used interchangeably, but they are actually quite different in terms of how they impact our understanding and application of knowledge. Let's start with learning. Learning involves comprehending information, which leads to the ability to apply that knowledge in different contexts. When we learn, we engage critical thinking and problem-solving skills. This means that we not only understand the material, but we can also analyze and synthesize it to make connections and draw conclusions. On the other hand, memorization involves recalling information, often word for word. While memorization can be useful for short-term recall, it often lacks a deep understanding of the material's underlying principles. This means that we may be able to repeat information, but we may not truly grasp its meaning or significance in a broader context. So, in summary, learning goes beyond mere memorization. It involves understanding, application, and critical thinking, while memorization is more focused on rote recall without necessarily achieving long-term comprehension. In our education and daily lives, it's important to strive to produce educational content that promotes deep learning rather than relying solely on memorization. By doing so, we can truly help students to understand and apply the knowledge that they acquire. So, how does our memory work, and how we can design educational curriculums to enhance learning based on the principles of sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory? Let's start with sensory memory. Sensory memory is the shortest-term element of memory. It is the ability to retain impressions of sensory information after the original stimulus has ceased. For example, when you see an image or hear a sound, the sensory memory allows your brain to retain that information for a very short period of time. Next, we have short-term memory. Short-term memory is the capacity for holding a small amount of information in mind in an active, readily available state for a short period of time. This is where we store information temporarily while we are working on it, like remembering a phone number just long enough to dial it. Finally, we have long-term memory. Long-term memory is the continuous storage of information. Unlike short-term memory, the storage capacity of long-term memory is thought to be unlimited. This is where we store information for a longer period of time, potentially indefinitely. When designing educational curriculums, it's important to consider these memory processes. To enhance learning, we can utilize strategies that align with each type of memory. For example, to engage sensory memory, we can incorporate visual aids, hands-on activities, and interactive experiences. To support short-term memory, we can use repetition, chunking information into smaller parts, and providing clear and concise instructions. For long-term memory, we can employ techniques such as spaced repetition, storytelling, and relating new information to existing knowledge. By understanding how our memory works and designing curriculums that align with these memory processes, we can create more effective and engaging learning experiences for students. When it comes to learning, motivation and emotions play a significant role in determining our level of engagement and the outcomes of our learning experiences. Let's start with motivation. Motivation acts as a driving force that determines the level of engagement and effort an individual is willing to invest in learning activities. When we are motivated, we are more likely to be actively involved in the learning process, seek out challenges, and persist in the face of obstacles. Now, let's talk about emotions. Emotions play a crucial role in shaping learning outcomes. Positive emotions, such as curiosity, excitement, and joy, can enhance our ability to learn and retain information. On the other hand, negative emotions, such as anxiety, fear, or boredom, can hinder our learning process and impact our performance. So, how can we use these factors to curate and shape educational content? First, we can design learning experiences that tap into learners' intrinsic motivation by providing opportunities for autonomy, mastery, and purpose. This could involve offering choices, setting challenging yet achievable goals, and connecting the learning material to real-world relevance. Second, we can leverage the power of emotions by creating a positive and supportive learning environment. This might involve incorporating elements of storytelling, humor, and interactive activities to evoke positive emotions and reduce anxiety. Additionally, providing constructive feedback and opportunities for self-expression can help learners regulate their emotions and stay engaged in the learning process. Understanding and harnessing the influence of motivation and emotions can help us curate educational content that is engaging, effective, and meaningful. By considering these factors, we can create learning experiences that inspire and empower individuals to reach their full potential. Let's summarize the key points we discussed. First, we talked about how cognitive psychology plays a crucial role in education, particularly in creating impactful learning experiences. By applying principles of memory, attention, and problem solving from cognitive psychology, educators can design more effective and engaging learning activities for students. Next, we dived into the basics of learning psychology, including classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and observational learning. These fundamental concepts help us understand how individuals acquire new knowledge and skills. We also explored the differences between learning and memorization. Learning involves comprehending information, applying knowledge in various contexts, and engaging critical thinking and problem-solving skills. On the other hand, memorization focuses on recalling information without necessarily understanding its underlying principles, often used for short-term recall. We then discussed the different memory systems, sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory, and how educators can take these factors into account when designing educational curriculums to optimize learning retention and understanding. Lastly, we covered the factors influencing learning, such as motivation and emotions. Motivation acts as a driving force for engagement and effort in learning activities, while emotions play a crucial role in shaping learning outcomes. We explored how educators can leverage these factors to curate and shape educational content to enhance the learning experience for students. Cognitive psychology provides valuable insights and tools for educators to create more effective and engaging learning experiences. By understanding the principles of memory, attention, problem solving, and the factors influencing learning, educators can design curriculums and learning activities that optimize student engagement, retention, and understanding. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to you creating lots of useful and educational lessons soon.
Tuition Near Me, your number one portal for everything that is related to education. See you at Tuition Near Me.